Attention, incoming transmission detected. This transmission has been authorized by the 69th Potato Squadron. Please stand by to receive 69th Potato Squadron transmission. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Transmission initiation sequence is now activated.
Hey, what's going on, fellow captains? It's Muse. So we are here with World of Warships Legends Investigations, and we are going to be catching CV haters. So there was plenty of people that hated CVs before this update. Since this update, that has just amplified. There's a lot of people that feel it's a class that shouldn't even be in the game. There's no talking to a lot of them. There's no logic, there's no reason. And I've been frustrated the very past 2 days after the 2 videos I've made. I've engaged with multiple people in multiple groups who can't have a civil discussion without taking things out of context, without twisting things, without their own confirmation bias coming into play. They don't like carriers, they don't think carriers should be in the game, so they're just literally anything they can reach for to come to that conclusion is what they're throwing at me. And like, for somebody that's trying to have a logical conversation from my end, it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. Like, there's things they're saying about CVs that you can apply to any other class of ship, but they don't see that. Like, they just see, oh, this is a point I can make about CVs, but there's so many points that you can apply right back to battleships, destroyers, cruisers. And it's very frustrating to just keep running in those circles. So we're gonna get into a whole bunch of it here. I'm just gonna keep the warships open while I discuss some things, and then we're gonna head over to the PC to take a look at some actual stuff. Actually, let's jump over to PC right now. There's something I would like to show you. So if we hop over here to PC, this is WoWs builds. This is the all the current records that have been submitted. And if you see mostly at the top here within the past day, it is ships that are breaking base XP that have good AA and carriers. And there's plenty more to follow. This is just like the tip of the iceberg for submissions. Just because people have broke the records in the last 2 days doesn't mean they've submitted yet. So yeah, over the next week or so, I expect this to look more like this. And just have a bunch of ships with AA breaking base XP, carriers breaking base XP and damage records. If you go back 2 days ago, let's go past that. Go back to 3 days ago, and you can see it's not that. There's not a bunch of carriers and AA ships across the board. So this update has definitely changed things, as you all know. There's no question about that. But let's talk about some of people's points about carriers. So there's so many things I've hammered home in the past 2 days that I don't even want to sit here and talk about again in this video, but I kind of have to, because even though I've been saying it for 2 days, it hasn't seemed to sunk in for a lot of people, and I'm getting a lot of the same stuff over and over and over again. So people want to nerf all kinds of things on carriers at this point. And I'm gonna say this. Is it a little outrageous? Yeah. Are there things that need to be changed? Yes. I'm not going to disagree with that. we'll talk a little bit more about what needs to be changed here in a bit. So yes, I'm conceding there's definitely things that need to be adjusted. So before you like go off about that, understand I'm conceding there is adjustments that need to be made. I think had we had a different road and path to this, it wouldn't be as bad. But people force this, and it's a lot of the people that I've been saying for the past 2 days, like, I'm kind of laughing at this because it's a bit of karma. And I've been saying, you people are the ones that asked for this. And I've had a lot of people say, no, I didn't ask for this. And okay, well, you know what? Every single CV main that I know did not ask for a CV rework. So do the math. If it's not CV mains asking for this, who asked for it? If it's not CV, like, the math is really simple. True plus true equals true, true plus false equals false. If CV mains did not ask for this, then who asked for it? Non-CV players. So you can sit there and say you didn't ask for this all you want, but this is what you pushed for. You pushed to have the utility of carriers completely taken away. That only left damage. And now CVs are the king of damage, and that bothers you, and that triggers you because, it's not your battleship, it's not your cruiser, it's not your destroyer, it's CVs. The thing you don't even want in the game. And you're triggered. And it's okay. It's okay. Like, and that's kind of a point that I'm gonna get to. One of the things that, people are flipping out over is how much damage CVs are doing. And I've had conversations with a couple people about this. Why is it okay when a battleship or a destroyer has a 300 or 400k game? It's a GG, it's a well done, it's an awesome job, but when it's a CV, it's broken and OP. Especially when you've shifted CVs to just a strictly damage-focused role. Why is it broken that they're doing exactly that, damage? Why does it bother you to have CVs at the top of the damage pecking order? Because it's not your class of ship? Because it's not something you enjoy playing? It's game ruining because it's something other than what you like to play. Because it disturbs your personal experience. The way you think the game should be played. Is that not a little self-centered? There's so many arguments I've heard regarding the whole CV thing. I talked to Spartan about it. And I said the same thing. Like, if you think a 300 or 400k game in a battleship is okay, but then, in a CV it's a problem, you might be biased a little bit. And Spartan's reply was, because you can angle against the BB if a carrier wants you dead right now, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. So let's talk about that right there. There's two counters to CVs. Two counters. One is agility and the ability to dodge. That's mostly going to be your DDs and your cruisers that are going to have that ability. Unfortunately, battleships don't have a lot of agility. It's not part of the nature of the class. And the other is AA, which we already went through on the last time when we first did a video Sunday. Um, but yeah, when you're talking about AA in this game, it's non-existent. This is tier 7 cruisers, and we're just going to use this one as an example because every other tier, every other ship class is pretty much, if you get the gist of this, then all the rest of it's the same. So we have one freak show up at the top. We have some ships, I gotta sort it, sorry. We have some ships that are capable of defending themselves. And then it drops off and we have a whole bunch that don't even have enough DPS, enough range to defend themselves. That includes battleships. Now, since the new meta for CVs is damage focused and we're focusing battleships, they're going to be the ones that feel the brunt of this the most. Being they lack agility, they don't have the one way to deal with a CV, so they are left purely with AA, which is missing, and the mechanics are broken. When I did the video Sunday night before the update came out, I was the only content creator to point out. Let's go pull that up real quick. Ministry of Balance. I don't think that's the right one, but it'll get me where we need to go. It is the right one. Okay. No, this is not the right one. This is old. Where's the... How do I get to the new one? Show me the new... I should have probably had this pulled up. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So yeah, almost every content creator out there did videos on this. I was the only content creator to talk about this, and I literally called it a cheat code. And I said in my video Sunday night before the update, this would break the game. And why? Because speed allows you to completely avoid AA. So we're upping the speed, and we took away the cooldown. That was a formula right here to take an already broken mechanic for AA and just amplify it. And I was the only content creator to pick up on this. So maybe I know what I'm talking about with all this. Maybe I'm somebody that should actually be listened to instead of people who don't play the class, who don't play AA ships. Maybe I'm somebody who knows what they're talking about because I was the only one. The only one. Go back to my video on Sunday and listen to me talk about this and literally call it a cheat code. And this is why you can't stop carriers right now, because your AA is completely ineffective. They're too fast. The AA can't track them, and there's no cooldown to slow them down. And I'm the only one who caught this. There's plenty of other things I talked about in the Sunday video, but there's two different sections where I talk about this, and one I go into depth on it, and I explain exactly why this is going to break the game. And now here we are. BB mains are getting farmed. They have no agility to dodge. And broken AA mechanics are allowing them to just get absolutely farmed. So there lies the problem. This is what I've harped on for the last 2 days, is AA needs the rework, not carriers. You need to add AA to the ships that don't have it. You need to... All these guys down here. All these guys. Starting from, let's say, let's do an arbitrary number here. Let's say Anybody below 300 on tier 7 cruisers is going to struggle to defend themselves. And that doesn't mean these guys are going to have an amazing time, but we're going with a number here. So everything from Hipper down, all these guys have almost no chance of defending themselves. And it's like that for battleships. It's like that for destroyers at every tier. So there's just a complete lack of AA. Like, AA needs to be buffed across the board as far as range and DPM. The ships that don't have enough AA need to be given more AA, whether it's historical or not. If you want balance in the game, that's what it's going to take. And then the AA system itself, the very mechanics of it, the very coding needs a rework. The fact that it can't track fast planes is a problem. Like, carrier players didn't ask for this rework, so they shouldn't be punished for it. They shouldn't be punished because the AA in the game is broken. And I play cruisers. I'm a cruiser main. So if you don't think I'm affected by the whole what's going on right now, you're dead wrong. Like, there's so many people that have made the assumption in the past 2 days that I'm a CV main. Because I'm defending this, but I'm not. I play all classes, including CVs. And I'm looking at things at what's fair to everyone. And to punish CV players because of a rework they did not ask for and a broken AA system that has nothing to do, that's not their fault, they didn't do the coding. So why did they get punished? They shouldn't. So, yeah, it's a mess, and that mess wasn't created by CV players. It was created by the non-CV players that pushed for this rework and wargaming, because, you know, I've been screaming for at least 2 years now about how broken the AA is in the game, how lacking it is. And it's not something that's on people's priority list. And even now, with it, you know, it's more evident now than ever. And anybody that even slightly fucking has a clue about AA or carriers can look at this and understand how broken the AA is. But instead of talking about the AA and the AA needing to be reworked, we're talking about what nerfs carriers need. Stop adjusting carriers and fix the actual problem. The actual problem is AA. Simple as that. So yeah, that's one of the, you know, things that's going on. The other is, you know, that people can't accept that you wanted carriers to not be utility and to be DPM focused, and now they are super good at DPM. And that bothers you because, you know, it's not a battleship and it's not a destroyer that's out there doing all that. Like, you have battleships that are plenty capable of putting up some pretty big numbers. You know, battleships and destroyers can literally just full health dev strike another battleship. Nobody complains about that. CVs can't even do that. But we're going to complain about the CVs. Not the sub 5-kilometer concealment DD that can, you know, absolutely delete you without you ever even seeing it. That's not something we're going to complain about. We're going to complain about the CV, not the battleship running an Arthas the Cold build that, you know, one shell catches your cruiser at 19 kilometers and you're dev struck out of an entire salvo, you know. Not the Arthas the Cold battleship that can just full health delete any other battleship in the game. None of that is something we want to bitch about. We want to bitch about CVs. And maybe that's how you know you're biased. Maybe that's how we catch a CV hater. The fact that you're solely focused on CVs and you want them nerfed into the ground to where they're not even viable in the game. That's how you catch a CV hater. when you're making points that can be reapplied to any other class of ship in the game, but you're focusing that point on a CV, maybe that's how you catch a CV hater. There's so many points people are making that just logically, for somebody that deals in math, facts, logic, make zero sense. I've had multiple conversations with Zarkun, and Zarkun is extremely biased in this. He hates CVs, absolutely hates them, and it's evident when he talks. The logic isn't there. The logic he applies to CVs can be applied to many different classes. You know, I had people that, when I'm saying historically, here's what carriers did, they were able to spot, observe, they played from range. Well, they didn't play, but they attacked from range. So we play from range. And I'm getting told that, this isn't real life and the historical doesn't matter. But then, the update dropped. And people don't like how fast the planes are regenning. So I got told about, historically, when I said, well, if you're going to nerf plane regen, then nerf, the amount of shells a battleship has available during battle and put a limit on that. And I got told historically how many shells in Iowa carried. And it's just funny that, when I'm talking historically about what a carrier does, I get told this isn't historical and this isn't real life. But the moment that logic can defend a battleship, it's okay to bring in historical and real life. And that's what I mean by, like, the logic isn't tracking. And people don't even see it because they're so blinded in their own bias and prejudice against CVs. They're not even making sense logically. Like, arguing with Zarkun, again, I love Zarkun to death. Let's not grief him, guff him, any of that. But in the debates I've had with him over it's felt like chasing my tail. Like, we just keep running in circles, and that's all we're doing. It's just logically running in a circle. And there's not much point to that. Like, why have a discussion with somebody? Like, if I say something that is flawed, and you can logically, mathematically, or with fact show to me that my premise is flawed, I'm more than willing to concede and say, hey, yeah, that's okay. I see what you mean. And there's so many people that hate CVs that are incapable of that. They're so blinded by their own bias and prejudice. They'll concede absolutely nothing. They think they're fucking King Leonidas. And it's pretty incredible. There's a lot of people, both CV mains, non-CV mains, that have agreed with me, that have conceded I'm making very valid points. There's a lot of people that learned from me talking about this right here. And you can tell they learned it from me because I'm the only creator that talked about that. I still, 2 days later, have not heard a single creator talk about the speed issue or how it affects AA. Not a single creator out there. And I watch a lot of them, I follow a lot of them, and not a single creator is talking about how this affects the broken AA in the game. Because we don't want to focus on AA, we want to focus on carriers. there's a lot of hatred for carriers, and that's what sells. That's what people want to hear. It is, let's go dunk on the carriers and talk about how shit they are and how they're fucking up the game. And that's what sells. That's the age we live in, where, you know, the propaganda machines are who make the money. It doesn't matter if it's bullshit, if it's truth, it doesn't matter, as long as people are willing to buy into it, as long as it confirms their own bias. And that's what a lot of the creators are doing right now, is just feeding into people's bias. People hate carriers, let's make this about the carrier and not the broken systems in the game. Not the fact there's only 2 ways to counter a CV, and one of them's broken. And for the class that doesn't have access to the other way, that leaves them extremely vulnerable to carriers. And that happens to be battleships. There's so many points that people have made over the past 2 days to me. I would pull up Facebook, but like, I don't want to dox people and just go through my Facebook and literally show you the amount of traffic I've had in the last 2 days in World of Warships groups, and people making the same bad points over and over and over again. Like, I've dealt with it all. One of the things I'm going to be doing this week is we're going to have a CV main in a live chat for a Q&A. I will have my own questions to be asking them, but also we're going to open the floor to chat. And we're going to talk about CV things in general, but then we're also obviously going to be discussing this update. So yeah, maybe people should put down their bias and prejudice against CVs for just a moment and engage in a logical conversation so we can get this right going forward. Because you can tweak CVs all you want. Every time you change something on CVs, you're just going to create a new problem, because the problem is not in CVs, it's in the broken and missing AA in the game. That's where the problem lies. You know, if you have like an animal that is just, you know, pooping in the house, and you're doing everything but dealing with that issue, you're not really fixing anything, are you? You're just changing how the problem affects things. Like, you know, oh, we'll go close this door. Well, it's just going to poop somewhere else. And that's all that's going on right now with you know, talking about changing CVs constantly. You're just changing which room the animal poops in. Like, you're not actually stopping the poop from being in the house. So you need to deal with the actual issue and the actual problem, and that is the missing and broken AA in the game. So yeah, like, put down your bias, put down your prejudice. You don't want CVs in the game. That's too bad. They're here. Get over it. You don't want CVs to be good at DPM. You don't want them to be good at utility. Get over it. They have to be good at one or the other, or some combination of the two. It doesn't matter that, you know, they don't work well for your personal playstyle. Sub 5 kilometer DDs don't work well for my personal playstyle. But they're in the game, aren't they? You know, basically submarines that you can detect with sonar long before you can spot them. That's a submarine. If I have to pick you up on sonar before I can get a visual spot on you, that's a submarine, not a DD. That affects my personal playstyle. But I don't hold it against DDs, and I still play DDs. Because I'm an adult. Which is more than I can say for a lot of the CV haters out there. Don't know how to act like an adult. Don't know how to have a logical, civil conversation without, all kinds of fallacies and, running around in circles logically to confirm their own bias. Be adults. Have an adult conversation about this. You might be surprised at what you end up getting. It's not just non-CV players that want CVs balanced. CV players want CVs balanced. You think this current meta is fun for CV players? There's no strategy. It's literally just go spam planes and farm damage is the new meta. That's not fun. That's not tactical. That's not strategic. For a class of ship that should be the most strategic role in the game, it's been reduced down to just spam planes and farm damage. And, if you go back to my last two videos, again, there's a lot of these mechanics we discussed how they're going to affect the game, and that's exactly how they're affecting the game. And yet, I see people turning it into something else. We're talking about reducing the fire and flood chance on CVs. Well, that's not the issue. It wasn't that they all of a sudden got more fire or flood chance. It's that you moved them closer. You took the range away. So now they're literally coming back within seconds. You're not getting a break because they have to fly from the back of the map anymore. They're literally right there. So they are right back after UDC before you even have a chance to breathe. That's your own fault. You asked for this, not CV players. Like, accept your punishment. Brought this shit on yourself. So where do we go going forward from here? Where do we go? What do we do? So, I think this is something that I said to Spartan, during the conversation we had. I think the fairest way forward for everybody involved, whether it be non-CV players or CV players, is the following solution. And I hope the CV haters can listen to what I say, listen to the logic behind it, and have a fair conversation about it that doesn't confirm their own bias that they hate CVs. So what I believe is going to be the fairest path forward is to revert the changes back to CV 1.0. After doing that, rework the AA system. Give ships enough AA to defend themselves. Fix the broken coding and mechanics to where AA can track planes regardless of their speed. Dial up the AA across the board. Do whatever's necessary to make AA viable and effective in this game. Once the AA has been reworked, then bring back CV 2.0. If this is really the way you want to go, you want carriers just to be damage focused, remove all utility, bring back CV 2.0 after you fix the AA. And then, and only then, when the actual proper AA system is in place, can you get an effective judgment of what the CVs are actually doing and what needs to be adjusted. Because, like, if we adjust them right now, if we adjust CVs at this very moment, you're going to dial them way down. And then somewhere down the road, AA is eventually probably going to get a rework. And then CVs are going to be completely inadequate. They're not going to have any utility. They're not going to be able to, you know, DPM because their numbers were adjusted pre-AA. So to me, that's the best path forward for everybody involved. That's the fairest to CV players. Go back to what we had, fix the AA, which is causing most of the problems in both 1 and 2. Both versions of CVs. That's where the problem lied, was AA, not carriers. And then once that AA is fixed, turn around and re-roll out 2, and then make your adjustments from there, because you'll have a more accurate picture of what CVs are actually capable of in an environment where AA is actually viable. But yeah, we get it. A lot of you hate CVs. You don't want logical solutions. You just want CVs out of the game, and that's not going to happen. So, like, how can we actually have a conversation about this? How do I make it clear to people that AA is the problem when their only answer is take carriers out of the game? I can't. I can't have a conversation with somebody like that. And unfortunately, right now, that is a lot of this community and player base. Again, I was the only one pre-update to talk about some of the things I talked about. Only one post-update to talk about some of the things I talked about. I might know what the fuck I'm talking about. I might be over here behind the scenes, crunching numbers, doing math, doing theory, doing shit that other people aren't doing, and I might know what the fuck I'm talking about. So instead of just running me in fucking circles ragged, maybe you might actually want to listen to what I'm saying, and maybe understand that AA is a fucking problem. That's where your problem lies, and no matter what adjustments you make to CVs, you're just changing what room the animal shits in. And that's it. That's all I have for you. I appreciate you, fellow captains. I'll catch you next time. Good hunting, fair seas. Bye.